I'm going to discuss the impact that transnational corporations have on the nation state. In today's world, corporations have an enormous amount of influence over our governments and policy, our public policy decisions. Transnational corporations pretty much created the ideology of the culture of capitalism, and this ideology promotes economic growth, and it claims that only through our economies can we progress as human beings. They also promote free markets because it allows only minimal intervention from the government. They declare that by removing barriers to free flow of goods and services, the public will receive more options, and also they make the claim that it creates more job opportunities as well, which is debatable. Overseas, a lot of American corporations will privatize natural resources in other developing countries and take away those necessities and resources from the local people because they cannot afford to have these. And so things such as water and electricity and so on, those things are incredibly important and they should never be privatized. The public should become suspicious when corporations are capable of directly or indirectly influencing policy agendas in international bodies. Even historical great thinkers have condemned corporations. Adam Smith, for example, believed that corporations, through inflating their prices and controlling trade, were going against the law without any consequences. Abraham Lincoln declared that the republic would be destroyed when power and money fall into the hands of only a few corporations, and claimed that all would then become corrupt. And transnational corporations have a corporate charter, which was granted by the state, and it implies that corporations can use all of their money and political power to accumulate as much wealth as they feel necessary while being protected from legal liability. Corporations pretty much have the same rights as individuals to freedom of speech. Corporations act as their own entity. And this allows them to have the right to influence the government, free to lobby legislatures, and use mass media and money to dominate public thought through any means necessary, such as bombarding us with advertisements. Corporations are often found donating millions of dollars to political candidates. Bush and Stephen Harper are prime examples. Corporations are involved quite intimately in international agencies with powerful political leaders. The IMF and the World Bank were created because corporations recommended to Roosevelt to create a financial institution where capital could be provided to third world countries. The IMF and the World Bank are financial institutions that give loans to developing nations. The loans that are given to the developing nations have consequences attached, and they influence where the money is going to go. And often the money that is given to the developing nations are supposed to be used to somehow benefit us in the end, us as in the Western world. And this really does not help these countries and often keeps them even further repressed. And the interest alone on the loan keeps them in a constant state of debt. By the 80s and 90s, corporations had gained control of huge international agencies such as the World Trade Organization. The WTO can override rules and regulations passed by any country, and by making the claim that the rules and legislation inhibit trade. It's really quite frightening when corporations who care only about financial gain can influence decisions that our governments are making. The governments are supposed to be the ones who are making decisions based on the public interest. I think that as consumers, it's our obligation as citizens in a capitalist society to fully understand and recognize where we spend our money. We often believe that as one person, we do not have an impact on these corporations. A lot of people feel that they do not make enough money to support smaller businesses because often their merchandise is slightly more expensive. However, we also have tendencies to be greedy, so maybe we need to ration our earnings and make proper decisions which will affect all of us. Eventually, if large corporations receive less money, then smaller businesses will be able to lower their costs, and larger corporations will have less money. I mean, their prices will eventually go up as well. But remember that larger corporations often have no qualm with exploiting developing nations, human rights, animal rights, and I think that we really need to be supporting businesses that have these morals and also at the same time, while trying to make financial gain, are looking out for the public interest.